I need you to help me.
So, remember how you get conversion bonuses for continually transferring up content on these games? And how I said these games kept tweaking the gameplay as they continued onwards? Well, let me cover those quickly. Obviously, one of the conversion bonuses is you keep everything from the previous game you obtained. Weapons, equipment, currency, the stats in the reelbooks, and the desktop content and records. But you also get a bit more. A few extra movies in the player, more currency, and several rare healing items. The gameplay changes include the ability to call together your party if they're scattered, getting them involved in hunting down shivs when you need to kick them. In Rebirth, it was only you kicking them. Your weapon combo chains have been increased for your dual blades, and can charge broadsword swings while moving, even capable of creating shockwaves with them now. We've also had Crimson Versus opened for use. Crimson Versus is a card game. Yeah. It's also a card game that plays itself. But if you're seeking to 100% complete the trilogy, the sooner you set up your deck, the better. The game is played with a leader card, depicting the character from GU or Roots, and 3 support cards, which depict various attacks. You don't really get anything from playing the game, but it's easy to set up a deck, and it kind of plays itself. You're getting packs based on your wins to fill out the library. Hell, you don't even really play it. You set the cards up and the battles happen automatically as you play the rest of the game, able to replay battles from the records later. Which kind of defeats the purpose of CGGs. I challenge you to a children's card game. I seem to have misplaced my cards in some digital realm somewhere. Alright, I have my cards. Now, it's time to... Oh, bollocks. Ironically, there's an article a few hours into the game about the astonishing comeback of physical card games as opposed to digital-only games. Now, I love playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Online or my ye olde DS copies of the 5Ds adaptations, because the series kind of started to suck with Zell, but it's always more fun to play such in person, which is part of the Crimson Versus problem. I don't know, maybe it'd be better if you got something from playing it, such as area words, special key items, stat books, something. Though you can find 3 exclusive Crimson Versus cards within the world itself, using the keyword competing. But the only thing you get from it is the utter destruction of Gaspard's self-esteem by beating him at the only thing he's ever been good at. Joy. Gaspard, as mentioned previously, is the champion of Crimson Versus. One of the best decks you could make for Reminisce is the character card Shino Twilight Brigade, with the support cards Trial by Fire, Invisible, and Voluntary Trust. Feel free to experiment with decks before you get the needed cards, though, or your own best decks, and the boards on GameFAQs have their own suggestions. Though I should also mention .hack GU, the card battle, which was released in Japan along with the games. There are 2 official ways of playing it, one of which, dead on, is being Crimson Versus gameplay. I'm actually going to be bringing up the online Jack videos this time, as they're a bit more relevant to the story arc. You'll remember the last time I mentioned them, the kid with doll syndrome mentioned Sakaki, and Ida was flashing on his screen? Well, there was one after that which showed the epitaph's names written in English. In blood. The first entry on this disc pretty much recaps the last entries, with Salvador Aihara getting a teacher, Michiru Tajima, involved in his investigation on doll syndrome, which has most heavily impacted her class. They decide to approach Professor Tachiro Sugai, the foremost researcher on doll syndrome, with what they have. While the terms Ida and Sakaki are known to him, the phases of the Cursed Wave are more well known, which leads them to speculate this might be related to the Second Network crisis and the world. Considering electronics around the kids have been acting oddly as well, and the Morgana incident showed some of the same errors, it's not an unwarranted correlation. But they also connect another detail. All of the afflicted are members of Moontree. The problem with the online Jack entries is it completely gives away the villain far in advance of the mainline story events. Doll syndrome, as directly implied by Chigusa's paralysis, is caused by Ida infections. And because they're all originating from Moontree, Sakaki's experimenting with Ida. The continuity is all over the place, the 3 entries for Reminisce happening rapidly after each other, and yet take a while to show up. Maybe staggered release by the production company that makes Online Jack, but due to how there are other news articles related to Salvador Ihara's activities, it gets weird. Anyways, the second act opens with Ovan calling Haseo to Hul Grans, teasing at a potential cure to Atoli's condition. And he's completely not in the mood for the puppet master BS Ovan's been pulling, wanting him to get to the point.
Do you not wish to finally know the truth?
Thing is, Ovan knows everything that's going on, and how they're all connected.
It all begins with Ida.
In one of the game's defining lines, Ovan explains part of the nature of Ida that I've addressed before. It seeks understanding. And the phases were originally intended to give that to developing AI. So bringing them all together is necessary to deal with it permanently, through uniting the 8 users. Or having one devour all the others. Finding them all will be the key, and they've already ID'd 5 of the 8. It's recovering Atoli's that's the problem.
Hey, why did you tell me these things anyway?
Is atonement not a good enough reason for you?
But some good news for progression. We've got a new city to explore! Daldana. And beating the Demon Palace tournament a few days ago in the chronology of the game means we get a new at-home in the city as well. It makes me wonder how much effort normal guilds have to go through to get space upgrades if winning a championship is what's needed to get that guild rank up. As far as I'm aware, Tan, Moontree, and Kestrel warranted their own areas simply due to massive numbers. And Tan early on was still shown utilizing a basic at-home until they moved to their original area. The Alchemy Lab has been upgraded, rank 5 common equipment now able to be used as a material in the synthesis of equipment next highest in its grade, as well as unlocking the alchemization of armor and accessory slot items, which in Rebirth you could not do, which give multipliers to the various resistances. We've also gained access to the Bike Factory, which allows for the customization of the steam bike. Parts can be purchased from the garage on Makanu's Pier, or in the junk shop right outside the new at-home in Daldana. The parts give the bike whole new looks and allow for it to use abilities, changing how it handles, speed, tire grip, etc. The shops have new items, such as intermediary spell scrolls, and of course, the level cap on the Rio books is removed, allowing more expansion of the previous rewards. To celebrate the rank up, the 3 Canard members hit up the quest shop, reintroducing us to Dr. Keppel, who's had another set of his prototypes go rampant. The Sky siblings Rain and Cloud. I wish. Though even if you set the weakening devices, the pair have a new skill. Fuck yeah! Go, Brave Robot Core! Wait, wrong series. As the quest wraps up, however, we get another cutscene concerning Sirius of the Holy Palace and... Alkaid. Damn it! Yeah, Inuyasha here has gone, well, cuckoo for Cookie Crisp, losing his dignified air for aggressive proclamations about his precious, telling Alkaid he's never gonna give it up.
You hear me? It's all mine!
So that's an anime reference, 2 serial mascots, Lord of the Rings, and a Rickroll. Huh. And Alkaid blames Haseo for this. His and Endritz's actions in the Demon Palace tournaments have had a cascading effect, as she explains later on, asking Haseo to come with her to an area to talk. She explains that Sirius's descent started not long after Haseo was crowned, leaving Ikolo completely, and then...
All of you are to blame. That's what you get for attempting to steal it.
Pai mentioned in an earlier email that Ida signals appeared in the Holy Palace title match, which took place just after the earlier scene in Daldana, meaning it's begun to infect players actively. And Alkaid, as his friend, no matter how much of a dick he can be, wants to help him.
No! That's not serious!
From her descriptions and their relation to Triage, Haseo realizes the two partners may be related to Ida as well, the next piece to the puzzle. But this is where the game throws you another curveball. Alkaid reveals that a lot of her public persona is nothing but bluster. After her loss, she's been just completely terrified of even coming across Haseo.
Just the thought of fighting you again made my legs shake and my head spin. My throat would even go dry.
This is a really good scene, but a lot of people take this the wrong way, seeing Alkaid as garnering sympathy to get what she wants, or seeing her letting down her barriers as how she can't do anything without someone strong. Completely forgetting that she is strong. Until Scaife got involved, she was kicking Haseo's ass 3 ways to Sunday. This actually shows how far she's willing to go for the sake of a friend. Alkaid is swallowing her pride and asking to ally with someone she knows and won't hold her back, as that's what Sirius would do for her, shown in a flashback revealing when Alkaid considered stopping competing herself, he had faith in her, proclaiming the truth of his ideology concerning the area, which he's now completely abandoned.
There was once a time when you used to understand that.
Serious.
I want you and I to understand each other.
She had an epiphany about what she was doing she could only have come to by being completely and utterly defeated, wanting to return the favor now when Sirius has lost his own way. And she came to Haseo as she doesn't have the time to raise her ranking high enough before the next tournament begins to be even able to enter. But emperors can abdicate their crown to fight in the next highest tournament. She came to him because he's the only way she can face Sirius in the arena soon enough to possibly help him. She's competitive, she's prideful, but she's willing to put that past her to save her friend from himself. A recurring theme in these games, by the way. And revealing that she's coming to a man that actually terrifies her shows how courageous she actually is, conquering that fear in the process, and finally moving beyond that ego that plagued her in Volume 1. It's character development that gets her past her own issues and makes her a better person. While on the subject, this is something else I think Roots could have touched upon, dedicating episodes to the supporting characters of these games through the eyes of Tabby exploring the world and encountering these people, actually tying her nonsense by giving us insight into things not yet connected to Haseo's journey, and give actual point to her existing instead of pointlessly wasting our time, making it an actual companion to the games by showing the Okolo members winning their first championships or the like with other relevant factions. But no! That had to be shoved off to spin-off material like .hack Alcor. Which, incidentally, is honestly not that bad. Hell, we saw Taihaku only in the Forest of Pain arc, and he won't be truly relevant until Redemption. And parts of Kuhn's journey take that form with leading him to creating Canard after he spent a day helping out the Fabric siblings, rescuing them from learning the game wrong from Tabby. We could have spent more time with Canard under Kuhn before he has to give it up. You see why it's still significant to mock Roots? There are so many things it could have done instead of being effectively irrelevant. And yes, I know I use a lot of clips for backstory bits from Roots, so I can seem kind of hypocritical about that opinion. But those relevant segments are a fraction of Roots' entire fucking runtime when you get right down to it. Anyways, Alkaid asks Haseo to enter the tournament with her, using his ground to grant them entry. She admits she's asking a lot of him despite not being involved, but he inevitably agrees. Contrast this for a moment to that scene with Sakaki in Rebirth. You know, the one I ranted about him butting into Haseo's problems with the PKs. This is admittedly compounded with the item mess that has become one of Haseo's problems, but one he would not have been aware of and would have missed had Alkaid not come to him with hers. The difference is, of course, someone asking for help in resolving a situation versus coming into it blind to anything but your own biases and inevitably making things worse as Sakaki did and does. Had he ever asked for help, it'd be different. Had he known ahead of time, he would have been forewarned and might have asked. but making him seem like an invalid by taking his problems from his hands was not the way to go. Alkaid has no better options if she wants to do this, and is betting on the character he showed earlier in the side quest we had with her last game to give her the opportunity she would otherwise lose. It's a gamble, but one that pays off. And yeah, I'm attracted to her. So what? I'm a heterosexual male. Last I checked, just being a guy and fantasizing about a hot redhead was not a crime. Acting on impulses towards hot redheads would be, if they don't want your attention, yes, that is. Except I know, mentally, that that's not how she actually looks. It's the personality that sells it for me. Physical appearance is only the shallowest form of attraction, after all. And yeah, I'll make some lewd comments concerning some events concerning her, Atoli, and Haseo. But hey, I'm trying to be funny. Granted, with Haseo reverting back a bit in character to dealing with things himself, and the signs of activity of Azure, Balmug, and Orca, he's got a stake in this as well, as they may just lead him to Atoli's epitaph. So they go to give up the crown to enter the tournament, and Alkaid is amazed how easily he gave up something she'd strived for so long to regain. And in context to Haseo, it really didn't matter to him. He was after entrance. So exchange it to help someone out? It's a no-brainer. And of course, now Alkaid wants to adventure with him, completing the shift in their relationship.
And just so you know, I'm persistent and I never give up!
Oh, never give up, my crimson-haired goddess. Damn it! So yeah, we're in another tournament arc. And, to be fair, you pretty much saw this coming from the first game, revealing there are multiple tiers to the arena, and Ida's obsession with both battle and understanding humanity. It's where those two coincide. While it can seem lazy, it's appropriately set up, and they don't repeat the same events with each of them. There are different reasons for entering, and different things to fight, so it's not abandoning a game element either. The problem is, there is no free play against other player teams. You're already locked in the tournament, so you lose the best way to increase your skill levels. Again. It would have really helped had we been allowed to do that, as skill leveling is still the most difficult thing to do right now. Registration warrants another return to Lumina Cloth, Pi confirming Sirius is infected, and he's not the only one. Reports of infection spiked after they got off the Ida server, meaning a lot piggybacked on PCs and possessed them. And worse, it has locked out their character data from alteration, just like Bracelet and Phase Bearers, meaning CC Corp can't revoke their system access. Atoli also appears, Haseo letting her know he's investigating Ida, wanting to stop her before she can join in. However, she's not backing down. While on the Ida server, Yada told her a lot about what was going on, more specifically, about Shino. She came to realize she was wrong about her assumptions. Which, as I went over, were not entirely unjustified. In fact, Haseo straight up admits that, another sign of development between them. Both sides were acting wrongly towards each other, not seeking the understanding they both want. However, now Atoli does truly seek his acceptance, and so is resolved to join Haseo's team in the tournament, but not just for that, but for herself as well.
I can't let things go on like this. I can't keep waiting around and relying only on others. After all, Ida and the epitaphs are my problems too. Please let me join your team, Haseo. I promise I won't get in your way. I'll do my best to become really strong.
While it's not the first step of Atoli's change, it's one of the more significant ones. Last game, she would only act to help others as her prime motivation, but here it's also for her, finding some worth in herself, and to solve something that directly affects her. And Haseo? He can't deny her that. For to do that would be doing what everyone else had told him to do last game, leave it as someone else's problem. But despite this, he's still worried about how competing may affect her condition. So we have our team, Alkaid joining up with Haseo and Atoli for the arena, and possibly in other pursuits as well. Yeah, I deserve that one. Alkaid invites Haseo on a shop quest, focused around finding an unlucky animal called the White Mouse Cat, which reactivates that lucky animal side quest. Sadly, Atoli's out right now, so we're defaulting to Gaspard. I didn't discuss unlucky animals in Rebirth. Essentially, they inflict pseudo-permanent status inflictions in the fields, such as the Mouse Cat slashing the party's max HP in half. While you might be tempted to double up on dual blades in areas, letting Alkaid deal the rapid damage for now is the better option, allowing Haseo to hit things hard with broadswords. Advantage of adept rogues is the weapon variety. Might as well embrace that a bit. However, it is now the time I need to reintroduce you to the ultimate evil of any rendition of the world. A scourge that has existed and haunted the realms of the Epitaph since R1. The most wretched and frustrating entities you can ever encounter, which murders your hands, attention, and threatens to destroy your patience and unbinds unending rage at the cheapness and unfairness of the universe that would spawn such entities. Goblin Tag! Yeah, the reason you get to customize your bike this time? They're back! And you don't battle them on foot this time. It's a race to hit them with your Steam bike, requiring you to max out the available equipment even this early on to even possibly compete against them with any freaking chance. What makes this all the more frustrating is it isn't even 5 separate encounters. Oh no! It's all 5 at once. And worse, there's a time limit. This makes this the single most frustrating thing to do in all of .hack, to the point that in previous playthroughs, I would skip this entirely. But not this time. Because I love .hack, and I want you to love .hack. So I gotta suffer through it. It took me a lot of time, but eventually I did succeed in banishing the accursed goblins from the volume. And in thanks, the quest giver Kafu opens up bike missions for you. The bike missions allow you to get a lot of stuff really early simply by completing them. You can play them by entering the area keyword passing into the address line, the fields being randomly generated to give them up, though each mission has the exact same essential look. Your target is to beat a certain time score from other players, the current top ranker being Matsu from Moontree. And this is another thing I really like. You remember in the original core games that everything everywhere had the best times held by Balmung and Balmung alone? This time, these challenges and who holds the records are a bit more varied. Granted, they don't come up that often, but you have the various chaotic PKs with the high kill count, the rankings change, different arena champions, Gaspard rules Crimson Versus, and Matsu with the bike. It's adding scope. The thing is though, bike missions? They're the easiest side quest. Your goal is to hit 3 King Chim Chims with the bike, using steam power given by ramming chims to give an acceleration boost to the bike. There is an inbuilt cheat to the minigame. Before hitting the first King Chim, bring up the area map, then exit it and hit the king. If you've timed it right, it reads as all kings having been obtained. By getting the best time, you get a massive swath of items, which quickly fills in whole sections of the rule books and leaves you that much better off early in the game. Oh, sure, it's cheap, but once it's done, you still need to run them all 50 times in total. Why? Kafu gives up stat books depending on the chim you collect and the number of races you do. Oh yeah! Personally, I think this is an apology for all the crap players went through in the core games concerning the Goblin Tag games for absolutely useless rare armor by making this so easy to do and creating the win button. The biggest worry is not having enough space in your inventory for everything, so if you're going to do this, clear it out beforehand. The best item from each track is a new bike part, which makes the steam bike all the more badass. Especially the night tires, which gives the steam bike stealth, turning off the ability for enemies to detect your presence when on the bike. Meaning, yes, you'll be mastering the preemptive strike now. And the biker's charm you get from completing everything increases movement speed and doubles item effects. Not a bad accessory at all for the early game. Back to the story, Atoli reminds Haseo that he hasn't told Kennard about the tournament, meaning his other co-champion, Syllabus, hasn't been informed of losing the title. He apologizes, but Syllabus is amazingly alright with it, having gotten the experience out of his system. It's really interesting the turnaround too, to tie it into Haseo's arc this game, in how he's upfront and willing to apologize, not being defensive over his actions and concerned about other people. Seen again immediately after, when, as the team prepares for the first match, he apologizes to Atoli for using her so much, but doesn't see the significance right now.
Is this girl something special to you, Haseo?
Why, yes. Would you like to join them? I deserve that too. Menage a trois aside, for now, Alkaid, as the most experienced arena player, gives some of her vast advice on competing here, while Haseo eases Atoli's worries about abusing Skaith as he did before. And, with the blatant rapid damage rates of two twin blades working in concert, the fight is an easy one, especially as we still have the Ripper's blades from last game. Even in story, it's noted as such an easy win, Alkaid seeing a different side of Haseo while fighting beside him.
I thought you were just a one-man team who didn't care about anyone. But now that I've fought beside you, I know that's not the case. You're always thinking about your friends out there.
Friends? Me?
It's an odd reaction, yeah, until you look at Ryo Masaki's entire character arc. As Sora, he was an infamous solo player, only caring about the kill and those useful to him, not caring who he betrayed as long as it got him what he wanted. It's why I call Sora the Betrayer, even though that is not his name anywhere in the Dot Hack lore. Then, he sacrificed himself for Tsukasa, who declared him her friend. Even if he lost his Sora side from the act, the moment is still relevant to Ryo's arc, as even in the real world, he doesn't have anyone. He lives alone in an apartment, his parents too busy with work, his father the owner of a major business, while he attends a private academy where, while he has classmates, he never really connected with, well, anyone. He was alone. I think that explains more than anything else why he would latch so heavily onto Shino, a woman who appeared to accept him and want him around, and why learning Shino was never really looking at him, that he had no real chance with her at all, was such a great emotional blow that led to that obsession, visiting her in the hospital every day. Every day. I know it's late to track back over this now, but there's something coming up that makes it important to remember. However, immediately after this, we're given a pretty bad cutscene that just makes Takaki's actions scream, "Villain!" I mean, it's not exactly a secret as I've been blatantly stating it, but by this point in game events, if you've been viewing the Online Jack minisodes, you've seen it coming. I say it's a bad cutscene due to the framing. See, they're trying to hide who Sakaki is talking to, but the framing to do that is terrible. Multiple times giving a full profile view that if you've played these games should recognize. Hell, the voice completely gives it away, as if you could disguise the beautiful, beautiful voice of Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Yeah, it's Bordeaux, infected by Ida. And it's not from the Ida server incident either. Sakaki infected her directly to be used as his tool to strike at the Ida infecting Sirius, as like Haseo, he believes it has Atoli's epitaph. How he got the Ida to commit all of these infections is a later story event, but you can plainly see Sakaki's megalomania on display.
Just you watch. I will have everything.
I'm the one who will be chosen by Ida. Chosen by the world!
And then I will have all the pizza pockets I will ever want! But we'll get back to that idiot later, for Haseo has something special to do if he wants to succeed in the arena. For the next job extension quest has flagged, which we'll get to next time as the Terror of Death regains his signature scythe. See you next time.